Nikki Haley is Donald Trump's perfect vice president pick. Nikki Haley is Donald Trump's perfect vice president pick. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Political Buzz Network, and my name is Laurel. On this vlog, I would like to address the selection of Governor Nikki Haley, who's the governor of South Carolina, as she was chosen to deliver the Republican Party response to President Obama's final or his last State of the Union address, which will be delivered on January 12th of this year. So on the evening of January 12th, President Obama will deliver his final State of the Union address to our nation. I'm sure gun control will be a part of that. I'm sure he's going to discuss gun control and climate change. I can just bet you $5 that he's going to include climate change and gun control in the State of the Union address on January the 12th of this year. But Governor Nikki Haley, who's the governor of South Carolina, has been chosen or selected by the Republican Party to deliver the Republican Party's response to President Obama's final State of the Union address. Now, Nikki Haley is a woman. Governor Nikki Haley is a woman. She's 43 years old. She was the first female or the first woman governor legally elected to serve as governor of South Carolina. Governor Nikki Haley, she is of East Indian descent. Her parents are East Indians. So she's not Caucasian. She's East Indian. Just like Bobby Jindal was the former governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jindal, who was also of East Indian descent. Governor Nikki Haley, when U.S. Senator Jim DeMint stepped down from public office to serve as the CEO of the Heritage Foundation, U.S. Senator Jim DeMint from South Carolina, he stepped down to serve as the CEO of the Heritage Foundation. Nikki Haley chose the first black man to serve in the U.S. Senate in more than 100 years. So here Nikki Haley is a woman of East Indian descent, and she's also a Republican. Nikki Haley is a Republican. And she chose a black man to replace a white man named Jim DeMint, who was a U.S. Senator who stepped down to take a higher position, which is the CEO with the Heritage Foundation. So Nikki Haley chose Tim Scott. Tim Scott, U.S. Senator Tim Scott is a black man. He's a Republican. He's also a Republican, and he is from South Carolina. And he was chosen by Nikki Haley, Governor Nikki Haley, to replace Jim DeMint. Now, since then, Tim Scott was elected. He was first appointed to replace Jim DeMint, and then he ran for re-election, or he ran for election, and he was legally elected by the voters. So Tim Scott, before the Democrats, after Barack Obama became president, before the Democrats put another black man up there, the Republicans beat the Democrats at putting another black man in the U.S. Senate. And by the way, the first black man to serve in the U.S. Senate was also a Republican. I repeat, the first black man to serve in the U.S. Senate in the history of our nation was also a Republican. So the Republican Party really has the edge on putting people in leadership positions in Congress more so than the Democrats. And so in case all you black voters out here running to the polls to support Democrats, you better do your history. Do some research, check out your history, and you will find out that the Republican Party, by and large, historically, in this nation, have put more blacks in Congress than the Democrats over a shorter span of time. So anyway, Nikki Haley has been chosen to deliver the Republican Party response to President Obama's State of the Union address this year, which will once again take place on the evening of January the 12th. Now, Nikki Haley, not only did she select a black man to replace former U.S. Senator Jim DeMint, but she also advocated after nine black people, one of them being a South Carolina state senator by the name of last name of Pickney, Clemente Pickney. I think his name was Clemente Pickney. He was a South Carolina state senator, not a U.S. senator, but a state senator in South Carolina. After he, along with 9 members of his congregation, was shot dead by a gun, a high-powered gun, by a white young man named Dylan Roof, who has not yet been convicted and sentenced to death row. Dylan Roof, who has yet to be convicted and sentenced to death row, which is where he belongs. After that incident, Governor Nikki Haley, she didn't just stand before the people in America on national television and cry a few tears. She didn't just cry. She took action, and she demanded that the Confederate flag come down off that pole in front of the state capitol in South Carolina. So here this East Indian woman, the first elected woman governor of South Carolina, she could have taken the side of the good old boys. Governor Nikki Haley could have taken the side of the good old boys. You know, I'm going to stick with the good old boys to protect myself and my political, my political legacy. I'm going to stick with the side of the good old boys and keep the flag up there on that pole, no matter how divisive that flag is, and no matter how much racism that flag symbolizes. I'm going to not say anything about that flag. But no, she stood before America and the world, and she firmly demanded that flag, that Confederate flag, come down off that pole. Now, she did not deny anyone their rights in South Carolina or anywhere else in the Deep South who still wants to give kudos or give homage to the Confederate flag or what it represents. No. Governor Haley recognizes that there are some people in the Deep South, all over America, but mainly in the Deep South, who will forever give homage to the Confederate flag and what it represents. But she didn't want it flying over the state capitol in her state. She said, take it down. Take it down. And guess what? It came down. It came down. So I give her many kudos. I gave her kudos months ago when she did it last year, because I posted a story about it on my Facebook page, and it got many hits. And she deserved those kudos. She had courage. That took courage. It's amazing how Democrats didn't demand that Confederate flag came down. But this East Indian female Republican governor named Nikki Haley, she stood firm and said, take that divisive flag down from the state capitol. Put it in a museum. After those 9 innocent black people were blown away by a disturbed, racist young white man who had been brainwashed to hate black people. He had been brainwashed. That's where hate comes from, when you brainwash it into someone. Human beings are not born hating people. I repeat, no human being is born on planet Earth hating another human being. Hate is taught. Racism is taught. Hate is taught, and so is racism. So Nikki Haley gets a high five from me and many kudos for her courage. But now she's been chosen to deliver the response for the Republican Party to President Obama's State of the Union address this year. Well, guess what? I believe that Nikki Haley would make an awesome vice president to Donald Trump. believe that Donald Trump would make a huge mistake in overlooking this woman's qualifications. She is highly qualified to be a governor. Before she became the governor of South Carolina, she was also a state senator in South Carolina. She's highly qualified to be a vice president pick. She's already a governor. She's highly qualified to stand beside Donald Trump once he accepts the nomination. Once Donald Trump accepts the nomination in July of 2016 at the RNC convention, Nikki Haley should be standing by his side as he announces her as his vice president pick. And yes, I know earlier on an earlier video that I uploaded, I mentioned that Rick Santorum would be a great pick for vice president, and I still believe that. But I believe that Nikki Haley would be an even better pick. Nikki Haley, in my opinion, would be an even greater, more awesome pick. She should stand beside Donald Trump to represent women voters in this nation. She doesn't have to be a Democrat for me to support her. I repeat, a woman doesn't. I'm a black voter. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. I don't care what anyone has on their voter polls about me. You know I'm a registered independent, unaffiliated voter. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a registered independent, unaffiliated voter. That was my most current voter registration, and I have my card, by the way. I do have my most recent voter card for registration, which proves and states I am unaffiliated. So anybody that has anything that's out there, you're lying. Or it's old information, outdated information. My current voter information is unaffiliated, independent. I don't have a woman running for public office doesn't have to be a Democrat for me, this black voter named Laurel, to support. I don't have to just vote for Democrats or support Democrats only. I was born black. I wasn't born a Democrat. Hear that, black voters? I was born black. I wasn't born a Democrat. But I believe that Nikki Haley would be an excellent pick or an excellent choice as vice president for Donald Trump once he becomes the 2016 GOP presidential nominee. And I believe that Nikki Haley will attract many women voters to the Republican Party. And those female voters, those women voters, they will not just be Republican voters. They will be Democrat voters, independent voters as well, and libertarian voters. Because she has an extensive background in politics, and she's qualified to be a vice president. I think she'd do a great job at it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Whether you agree or not, I don't care if you agree with my videos or my video topics. You don't have to agree with my video topics. That's fine. You have the free will to agree or not agree or disagree. But I believe that Governor Nikki Haley would be an outstanding, amazing choice to represent the Republican Party as vice president and to represent our nation as vice president. Nikki Haley would make an excellent or a great pick as Donald Trump's vice president. Thank you for tuning in to my network, Black Political Buzz. Have a great evening and goodbye.